brother Peru. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
To be in these places at the time that. So yeah, I'm in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, what time? No. I told you the Jamaican accent was going to come out. I'd love to be able to name all the bands, and I can't. But I know I'm going to miss.
You've been called selfless, you've been called kind, loving, all kinds of stuff. We know you're passionate about. Talk about your little 10-month-old son.
Yeah.
Talk about that, your pride and joy, of course.
I love my son. His name is Johann, and he was born on Christmas Day. He's one.
Welcome to another edition of PEP Talk. I'm your host, Rosie Parke, and today's guest is Miss Johann Richard, who is the Executive Director of Kynu Inc.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, Joanne, are you Haitian?
I am. I was born in Mexico, but my parents are from Haiti. Entire family's from Haiti. I moved to the States when I was about 2 years old.
Okay, but you've had this love affair with Haiti, even that extends beyond your parents being from Haiti, and you've done some work long before the earthquake in Haiti made Haiti the it news. Talk about all these things that you've done leading up to know where Haiti is on the map, so to speak.
Well, ever since probably about my college years, my school would have a trip every year to Haiti, and my parents, because of the situation there, they weren't really, really excited about me going. So it always took the back burner, but I'd always wanted to go back. And then finally, I think after harassing my dad for years and years, he was just like, you know what, just go. I went with a group called NOAA, National Organization for the Advancement of Haitians. And that's when I truly, I think that's when my passion really exploded, because there's just so much there. Like, the people there are just awesome. The children there are just fabulous. And it's just like, if you were to be able to give these kids the same chance that we had here in the States, I just feel like, the sky would be the limit for them. So I think that's what really ignited my passion. And that's when I started Kynu.
What about going back to Mexico? Have you gone back there and felt the same vibes from Mexico where you were born?
Actually, I went back to Mexico probably in 2003. I took my parents there because that's where they met. They went to school there. And I think they probably got a lot more out of it than I did. I didn't know Spanish was my first language, but I don't speak it anymore. I traded it in for my Creole, my French, and my English, so yeah.
Okay, so when was that the first time that you went to Haiti? What year was that?
That was in 2008.
Wow, very recently.
Yeah.
And since then, how many times have you been back?
I've gone almost every year, probably twice in a year.
Twice in a year.
Yep. And now with Kynu, our aim is pretty much to go every 3 to 4 months.
So let's talk about Kynu. What is Kynu?
Kynu means our house in Creole, and pretty much it's a nonprofit organization geared to children in need. There was a huge issue with les avecs in Haiti, which are children that, I guess here in the States, is referred to as child slavery. So a lot of children that are being born to really poor families, and their parents seek a better opportunity by sending them off to someone who is better off. But at the same time, a lot of these kids are being, abused and used. They're not giving the same opportunities as the other children that are in the household. And it was with working with one of my older friends that I realized how grave the situation was there, and that's really what also motivated me to start Kynu, which cultivates the better tomorrow for Haiti's youth. So you were doing some work in Haiti before the earthquake that we all know about in January of this year. Right. Did you actually start Kynu prior to that? Kynu was started prior to the earthquake, but I was also involved with a lot of different organizations that helped Haiti. So my focus had always been taken away from Kynu just to lend a hand, plus meeting people and understanding, the ins and outs with Haiti, because I hadn't been there for so long. Right. So I think it was like more of a growing opportunity for me. And I'd be able to take that and in turn use it with Kynu. So tell us about starting a nonprofit, which Kynu obviously is. A lot of people think it's a very daunting task, which it may be. How easy was it for you to start your own nonprofit, doing something that you're passionate about? Well, I wouldn't call it easy, but I do feel that if your heart is in it, it's definitely going to be your drive. It's a lot of late nights, it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of brainstorming, and I think I surrounded myself with a group of people that definitely were knowledgeable, and I think that really helps. But definitely it's a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it's wherever your heart is that's going to push you to get there.
What about getting the whole 501c3 status? How challenging was that?
That's actually not challenging. It's just, like I said, a lot of paperwork. You have to have your proposal set up. You have to have, like, there's a lot of, you know, tax papers involved. So it's great to have, you know, people that have been through it, or either, you know, attorneys that are in the profession to kind of guide you. And I was lucky enough that I had a tax attorney that was able to guide me, you know, and pretty much give me the ins and outs. So it's a big task, but you can get through it.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you studied nonprofit management. What did you do in school as opposed to running a nonprofit? It's very different. Did you have to do any formal training about how do you go about setting up and running a nonprofit to pull this off?
Well, my background is really in biology, so no, it has nothing to do with this. But there is a lot of information. I did take a couple of prep classes here in school, and they're pretty much, it's like, you know, the pointers to tell you where to go, what to do, what forms you need. And then pretty much everything is on the website. You know, online you can find any information that you really need. I don't know that you need, like, you know, formal training for it. Like I said, I think your drive and what you really want to do is what's gonna gear you to just get the information that you need. So everything is online.
Well, I know that every nonprofit, or most nonprofits, have a board of directors, and those are the people that kind of help you to push stuff in the community, to help you get grants, funding, that sort of stuff, do a lot of the groundwork, and most of these are unpaid positions. So do you have a board, and how do you go about sourcing people for the board who are equally, maybe equally, but are also passionate about the children in Haiti?
I do have a board, and actually my board is made up with a variety of people, but for the most part, I'll say the majority is Haitian. So they're definitely rooted in our cause. Their heart lies with Haiti, so I think that really helps at the end of the day. But they're also people that have their hands in other organizations, so they've had experience in, you know, nonprofit management, or either just, you know, knowing the ins and outs with dealing with the Haitian government, or having a nonprofit in Haiti. So I think at the same time, you know, it's just your background definitely is it's dire to, you know, having a nonprofit and having your board, because that's really, it's your backbone. It's really what's going to help you, like, lead you in the right direction.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more specifically about Kynu's role after the devastating earthquake that struck Haiti. So stick with us.
Do you think about the poor and how them live? Work 7 days a week, a chump change you no give. What to think about a family make up of 9? When the eight of them and beg like them blind, we pay more for traffic ticket than what we make a month. Enough time we work without lunch. Look how much money who no borrow. We can't do the sums, and still a tax me crumbs. Me think about your school, oh what a heavy load. For your education me just can't afford. You don't think about the youths, and it's a next episode. That's why too much gunman let go out a road. You don't think about the poor and how them live. Work 7 days a week, a chump change you no give. What you think about a family make up of 9? When the eight of them a beg like them blind. Do you think about the poor and how them live?
Welcome back. If you missed it, we are joined by Miss Johann Richard. She is the Executive Director of Kynu Inc., an organization dedicated to helping children in Haiti. And Jo, before we spoke a lot about her passion for Haiti, where she's from, and this segment we're going to speak specifically about what happened after January 12th, was it? Okay. I actually remember when I got the news, and I remember how I felt. I'm interested to know how you felt when you heard about the earthquake that struck Haiti.
Actually, when I got the news, I was on my way home, and I actually got a text message. And it's like everyone has coined me as Miss Haiti, so it's like, you know, did you hear? And at first it was just, surreal. Like you don't really understand what's really going on. You know, it's like something that you're watching, but it hasn't really sunk in. And I think when I was glued to the TV the entire evening, and then I still have family there. I'm very close to one of my uncles that lives there, and not being able to like reach out or get in touch with anyone. You have your parents here that are frantic, so it really hit home. And I think, you know, it's kind of like living through 9/11, like all the major disasters. You're just kind of numb for a second, and you have to take some time to just kind of let it all soak in. But after watching it for just days and weeks, it was huge. It was hard.
And so what did you feel about, I mean, the children, Kynu, what about them? I mean, were you able to find out what was going on with the group of children you were working with at the time?
Well, at the time, Kynu was more so focused on programs. We didn't have actual children. We had, like, we would do medical missions, bring in supplies or basic necessities to different organizations that were already set up in Haiti.
Right.
But then when the earthquake happened, I think that's really where, you know, my gusto came to just be like, you know, instead of, not that I can't help others, but that's when I really need to just make Kynu my main focus, and because the need is there. Even still today, you know, Haiti is definitely hurting. We've now had the cholera outbreak where people are dying, you know, of things that you really shouldn't. Well, at least things that don't happen here in the States. So Kynu is definitely picked up, and its focus is definitely on the children. A lot of children, our focus are on less avec children, which are children that have no real guardians, and they're really fending for themselves. I just think it's really hard to go to Haiti and see that, you know, you have a 9-year-old that's really on their own, that's like fighting, you know, for just the daily and basic necessities. So after the earthquake, Kynu definitely just stepped up and focused on the children there.
And I remember that you still were working with a number of groups. You were kind of instrumental in getting more funds for the Noah's 10 for Haiti drive. And from that, I was a part of it, and a bunch of us were a part of the Hope for Haiti project that we did and raised maybe about $3,000, and a lot of tents were bought. But more importantly, you've been called selfless, you've been called kind, loving, all kinds of stuff. We know you're passionate about Haiti. But one thing I remember clearly, when you had your birthday, instead of having a traditional birthday party, you decided to do what?
I had a benefit brunch. There was a restaurant in Baltimore that actually supported us, and they offered to use their space, Red Cafe in Baltimore, thank you. They actually were able to give us our space, and they allowed us to have a fundraiser there. So I invited all my friends, had them invite their friends, and we had, the proceeds went to actually helping us bring tents to Haiti.
And also, talk about these shirts that I'm wearing, because I know this was a part of the whole, you know, raising funds for Kynu, raising funds for Haiti. Talk a little bit about this project, who was also involved with you, and how much money did you actually raise from the sale of these fabulous t-shirts. I mean, I love it so much. I was wearing it for 1 week straight, you know, and when people looked at me, I'm like, hey, it's for Haiti. But they really are nice t-shirts, and it's a good message for people to remember Haiti. So who are some of the people who helped you with this whole t-shirt project?
Actually, this started with Emmanuel Bellegarde, who is also a member of our board. And our goal was really to find creative ways to have people donate. So it's like, you know, it was summertime, well, about to be spring. So this endeavor was just to get more people interested in donating. So we had the I Love Haiti t-shirts. We also came out with a couple others, and they're on the website. They're able to be purchased. Still the proceeds go to Haiti. They were able to help us fund tents for Haiti. They've also been helping us along the way just to provide for the organization that we currently work with in Haiti.
Okay, and this is one of the big pressing questions that I have, and a number of people who have donated money to Haiti have. We all know about monies that were donated to the Red Cross, Wyclif's group, and a lot of other groups. Many people who have been to Haiti have stated that people are still in need. So it appears as if the funds are not reaching the Haitians. How different is Kynu in terms of the funds raised and how they get directly to the people to create better programs from them? What are you doing differently?
Well, that's definitely been a worry for a lot of people that are donating, because there's such a great amount of money that's being given to Haiti. And even till now, when I've gone back in September, it seems like everything is at a standstill. Nothing is really being done. But what makes Kynu different is that all your donations that come to Kynu, I'm hand delivering them in Haiti. I have a team that goes with me every trip that I go, and all the goods that we collect, all the monetary goods that we collect as well, they're all sent straight to Haiti, hand delivered.
Okay, and then I spoke to another group of persons the other day about their visits to Haiti, what they've seen, and what are some of the greater needs that they've seen. And they have said it's clothing and food. What have you seen to be the greatest needs that Haitians have now after, what is this, like 10 months, 11 months after the earthquake?
Well, I think right now what Haiti needs, definitely money is a very, very big help. I personally am not a fan of constantly bring over donations to Haiti, only because I feel like when you have a country like that that's constantly being given handouts, it's hard for them to survive and do on their own. And these people, they're amazing, they're smart. I mean, you know, if you were to even go to Haiti and see how they make a way out of no way, it's like, wow, you know. And I feel like we get lazy here because we have everything ready to go. But definitely, I think the need there is just for us to, the same way we think here as far as like being business people, or just making a way for ourselves. That's the same way that needs to be, that's the same opportunity that needs to be presented to the Haitian people. They're able to do for themselves. So aside from money, I believe that, you know, the same way you were come down, just have a chat with the folks there, let them tell you what they need, let them tell you, you know, how they function. Because even after the earthquake, you know, we'll go out there to Haiti and we'll feel like we know what's best for them. But when you talk to them, they already have, you know, their entire scheme set in place. And it's like, they'll tell you, no, what we need is X, Y, and Z. So I think if people were to just to take the time and listen to them, it'll be a lot more effective. And
in that same vein, I remember after the earthquake, there were reports that there was no schools, so the children were not going to school. I think a lot of that has changed since. And in particular, the children that you work with. Right now, you're doing a couple of things to try and help those, because you've spoken to them, you've been there, you see what they need. Tell us about some of the efforts that you're doing right now leading up to helping the children. Right now, we currently work with an organization in Haiti that set up a community center, and this community center serves about 750 families and 250 school children. Attend classes there. These school children are in need of, again, basic necessities. We're currently doing a uniform drive, which we're trying to bring 500 uniforms to Haiti in January. And we also have a backpack drive. For $20, you can purchase a backpack, and for $15, we'll fill that backpack with basic school supplies. We also have the uniform drive, where $15 enables a child to have a uniform. So we're really pushing for those things to happen. The children they're awesome, they're in need, but I've attended school with them, like I've gone through like their regular work day, and they're fabulous children. So I feel like bringing them uniforms just brings a whole new dynamic to it, like having them interested in school and like a sense of pride. And the backpack drive, again, I mean, you go to school, you know, you're just reciting. I think it's just a lot more effective if they're able to, you know, feel as if they're in school, give them some sense as if life is coming back to some sort of normalcy. And so these uniforms, are they standard uniforms that they wear that are made by Haitians in Haiti? That is what we're aiming for. Right now we're fundraising for to purchase uniforms the fabric in Haiti, because the center already has sewing machines. They actually have the manpower to create the uniforms. And what about the backpacks? Because, you know, $20 can... What if someone wants to say, okay, I just want to give you a backpack. I don't want to give you $20 because I'm a little skittish about whether or not my money is going to go there. And they think about the rate of exchange. $20 seems a lot of money for Haitians. What if someone wants to just give you a backpack with school supplies? Do you accept stuff like that?
We are taking sturdy backpacks. The only reason I was saying monetary donations instead was only because you want to make sure that you're giving something that's quality, something that's going to last. But we are accepting backpacks, slightly used or new. And the actual supplies that we have, they're on the website. So they're, again, very basic. So if these are things that someone would like to just bring in on their own, that's just as great.
And apart from the uniform drive and the backpack drive, are you still accepting clothing and shoes and that sort of stuff for when you're taking it to Haiti?
No, actually, we're not accepting any clothing or shoes. Our focus has really been on the uniforms and the backpacks.
So there you have it. Kynu is working hard to make sure that these children in Haiti are properly cared for. And if you'd like to donate or see some of the great work that Miss Richard and her board of directors are doing, you can go online.
It's www.kaynouinc.org, KynuInc.org.
What to think about a family make up of 9? When the eight of them and beg like them blind, we pay more for traffic ticket than what we make a month. Enough time we work without lunch. Look how much money who no borrow. We can't do the sums and still a tax me crumbs. But think about your school, oh what a heavy load. For your education me just can't afford. You don't think about the youths and it's the next episode. That's why too much gunman let go out the road. You don't think about the poor and how them live. Work 7 days a week and chump change you no give. What you think about a family make up of 9? When the eight of them and beg like them blind. Do you think about the poor and how them live? Work 7 days a week and chump change you no give. What you think about a family make up of 9? When the eight of them and beg like them blind. So how we survive? You know, say we skill.